think is when you go through a mirror, what you can do is you almost, or through a door, you see our world clearer. Because in a way, what we all do, we show our world.
Yeah.
We just put a costume on it, and it makes it so sharp. It makes it so, you realize so much about it. For me, that works much better than just reading realistic prose. And that's why I find this to be such a fantastic tool.
Yeah, I think it's a way of externalizing. Everyone has their own interior reality, which is quite different from the reality that we're all supposed to agree on. And to actually make that other reality concrete on the page, I think is a way of talking about both your interior and your exterior life in a way that makes sense for other people. And I think that might be part of the appeal of Other Worlds.
Interesting, yes.
Well, I would agree, because I was going to say we create our own sense of reality, and so I took that to the nth degree in this novel by them creating reality. But you know, the question being like, what is real? Our perception of what is real, or what your perception of what is real, and is anything real? And then we start into English major deconstruction mode.
Right.
But yeah, that question of, you know, what is reality, and does it all exist within the mind?
Yeah, that's always when you get the very ridiculous question why you read fantasy. Oh, is it an escape? Yeah. And you say, no, there are statistics that people who read fantasy actually are more politically involved than people who don't. That's the first very interesting thing.
Yeah.
Because you also have to question reality. If you question reality, you have to first step back and look at it and imagine another one. Otherwise, you will never question it.
And I've always felt like, I think that's one of the reasons that, like, you know, fantastical stories for children is really important, is because I feel like it's the first time that kids really get an idea to sort of practice thinking about the world in a different way, in a kind of safe way, because it's not, you know, the actual world, you know?
Yeah, there's that fantastic Tolkien quote, who is against the escape but the prison ward?
Yeah,
you know?
right.
And that's, yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, we all have a hand that can reach to the mythological, and I think the more you soak yourself in that world and in that reality, the more it can inform your own life with meaning. We just have to go back to Joseph Campbell to learn about that. I think he was one of the great guys who opened that door, and I find that the more you can infuse your own life with meaning, the better life is. And let's do it through mythological methods rather than, you know, going and buying things at Target.
Yeah, and you both have sort of your characters.
And they're literally embroidering, and the fabric they're embroidering is going out these windows and flowing over and becoming the world. And I was just obsessed with this painting. I studied it in undergrad and graduate school, and I started writing the story of this girl who's in this world. So that idea of, and Varro said a very interesting thing about creating your own sense of reality. We all have that possibility. And I thought, what would it be like to be the girl who was creating everyone else's reality, but was very much stuck in the situation of being told how to do that for other people and being told what her reality would be. So it was really interesting, because it is kind of, you have some alternative history in there. You know, it feels like you maybe stepped into the past when you're reading it. So it is kind of based on a real world, but it's based on a world from 50 years ago.
Yeah.
You all have to look up the image, because I'm so glad you mentioned that painter. She's breathtaking, and not many people know her. She was in the LA exhibition about women painters and surrealists.
All of her work is truly incredible.
It's just amazing.
Can we have the name again so that people can jot it down in your notebooks?
It's Remedios Varro. And yeah, she was a Spanish surrealist, turn of the century.
Turn of the century, early 20s, right?
Yeah.
It is. I think she's spelled V-A-W-R-R-A-O.
No, it's V-A-R-O.
V-A-R-O. Yeah, it's
I like that art. You know, I'm glad that you said where the inspiration came from, because it's such an interesting idea that you have. What about you, Cornelia? Your book, The Mirror World, I mean, it's rooted in fairy tales. I mean, there's no if, and, buts, or about it. Fairy tales are in there. And yet, you do this incredible thing where it's completely twisted and recognizable, and yet completely fresh. What made you go to fairy tales, to traditional fairy tales, for this mirror world?
Well, the first idea was, in a way, to take fairy tales as a historical reality, because the funny thing is, when you read folk tales of countries, you almost feel like you're on a travel guide.
Yeah.
You hear about their beliefs, about their past, about the landscapes, the weather. So I thought, what if I take the folk tales and go like a travel guide, make the magical properties in that country, and then say, but it's the 19th century, so they try to be a modern world.
Ah, yes.
So that was fascinating. So I do research on the 19th century. I mirror historical reality. I have certain wars in there. You know, I at the moment I'm thinking, do I put a character like Lincoln in there or not? You know, it's like, so I walk the line, but then I have fairies in there. I have unicorns. I have witches, fake witches and real witches. It's, for me, it's endless. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I will never